please remind Matt Gaetz and Lindsey Graham that they did not want to think that flooding, fire, and tornado insurance is good enough. Fox Media, please remind that this is not wondered via National Guard and employment. Look at Fox Media when it's getting ready for NFL Sunday. Remember, Matt Gaetz, Lindsey Graham, you said that it wasn't good enough. Jacqueline Lynn, we call it what? And the Shaw Hackenberg Wachowski, but not too Republican. We gotta ask why. Remember, instead of foosball, Mr. Schrager. Remember, we don't have these questions. Taylor Vogels, in the view of the other family members, but there are some specific. Elsie Sitvanek. Oh, we don't want to get specific, but the ones that are still living. John Kent, the cousin groups, Angus, King. I can name a couple more if we want to get into it, but there's the difference. Do we understand? Are these type of people like presidential candidates instead of actors? Ask Tommy Tupperville. Sorry.
But number two,
I can't think.
I'd go right down to his office.
Mr. Payton.
Look forward to the opportunity.
Sorry, in Louisiana.
So as soon as the storm got a name,
Ian was noted in the video to the NOAA. Mr. Graves' son, Eigenvalue Alpha N. Remember, Mr. Gaetz and Mr. Graham is $28 to $46 billion. We were going to minimize a minimum of 34 in the Hatch Act. NFL Sunday, we don't understand Disney Short, SunTrust, Raymond James, just to name a few. But we weren't getting specific when we argue with these people. We don't have it in video ahead of time. But they said that flooding insurance is not a good idea. Hurricane insurance isn't a good idea. They said that tornado insurance isn't a good idea. Fire insurance, mandate COVID, the other mandates. Now, ask these type of things to the NFL. Now, I don't get that wonderment to Joseph. But when that's Nate and him leaving Notre Dame, excuse me, Mr. Woodson, could you go back to Green Bay and Wisconsin? Could you go back to U of M? Could you coach in Division II, sir? But those aren't those type of questions when you get it to even, it's a recreational sport that made them wealthy. But I guess I don't get the right as the grandson of ownership groups. The Cardinals, the Lions, the Bengals, the Raiders. How dare you, the Duns? I don't know, the Patricia Kevin Kaylee Owens and the Bucks, and ask Leonard why his uncle. You mean they don't own it? Make an adjustment. But I don't get this right to ask these kind of questions to the league.
I think he can run the whole route.
Now, when this is ever wondered, I guess you break your feet because of how bad it's wondered in national. Look, he's going to hurt his knee on the next play. But those aren't those type of things with the broadcasters that they'd ever understand. 12th pick in the draft, and you ask those type of things. We're going to insure these things. But that's where the first name. Yes, you could, Mr. Payton. But when this is those type of questions, how dare you ask the responsible individuals? But I guess we're too And we need more of the death totals. We need the fake events that you're not good enough to call this. Mr. President of the United States, you offer Undersecretary of Interior with FEMA analysts at a grade of a GS-13, where you're qualified for a GS-7 to a GS-9. That is 4 military ranks ahead in the ability to have officership as Undersecretary. To wonder that as a professional career compared to how my family sees partisan politics is not an issue. And when this is ever wondered to some of the girls that you've dated, I guess I don't get a right to ask them to run for office, let alone run for office of the presidency. How dare you ask the country to understand that? When this is wondered to the death totals of ahead of time, I get to blame Lindsey Graham. I get to blame Matt Gaetz. I get to blame Miss Taylor. Because guess what? They took money away from the budget instead of initiating this. Instead of sitting down with the activists and the Kennedy Space Center people and the IDAC NEDIS project people, instead of seeing the environmental engineering people, the Department of Interior and the NRC people. No. But this is the NFL.